So ERs make spaces, right? That's how we create a space to move into. And then IRs produce force. And when we're talking about gravity, right, there's an up and then there's a down. So ER would lift me up away from the ground. IR is going to push me down to the ground.
So I have a basic question, because I guess I missed a couple of the episodes here from this series. And then every time that happens, I come back, I was like, what happened? Like, I need a recap. So you were mentioning before an ER and an IR spine, and I would just want to ask you to clarify that of what is that?
Okay. So let's just broadly talk about ERs and IRs first. Okay. So ERs make spaces, right? That's how we create a space to move into. And then IRs produce force. And when we're talking about gravity, right, there's an up and then there's a down. So ER would lift me up away from the ground. IR is going to push me down to the ground. Fair enough. So far, so good, right? Okay. So if you were going to measure somebody's hip, what measurement would create the space for you to move into in a hip? Real simple question.
Okay, but ask that again. What measurement would
you use in the hip to say, oh, we have space to move into?
Hip flexion.
Okay, so hip flexion is what?
That would measure ER.
ER or IR?
I would measure ER with it.
No, okay, so hip flexion is an ER measure.
Yes.
Okay. So there are only internal rotations and external rotations. So again, the straight plane thinking is where we run into a little bit of an impasse. You have to understand that as I'm moving somebody through a measure that we would consider traditional flexion, that is an external rotation measure. Okay, let's go to the spine now. What did they teach you in school? If you bend forward, they call that what?
Oh, flexion.
Cool. Is flexion an ER measure or an IR measure?
It's lessening space, right? So it's an IR measure.
Okay. Hip flexion is an ER measure. Spine flexion is
an ER measure.
Yeah. Okay. So let's use traditional hip flexion here. So have you ever taken someone's leg into like full hip flexion and compressed their thigh against their belly?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's hip motion?
No.
What is it?
I mean,
What's moving when you do that? How do you get literally, how do you get somebody's thigh to compress against their chest? Because in school, they told you that the hip joint only has 120 degrees of traditional flexion, right?
So after a while, their pelvis and their lumbar spine will move with it.
Okay. What direction does the lumbar spine move?
In that case, it would be flexion.
Correct. Right? Which way is it turning? If I'm measuring the left hip, if I take your left hip and I bend it so far that I put your left thigh against your belly, what direction does the spine turn?
Left hip to the left.
Okay, cool. So the left side of the spine is flexing. That would be an external rotation measure, which means that the spine is turning towards you. So whenever the spine turns towards you, that's ER of the spine on that side. It's turning. It's turning, right?
Okay.
Get it?
Okay.
You understand? You understand?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So if both sides of the spine are flexing, okay, what does that mean that the spine is doing? Is it internally rotating or is it externally rotating?
If one side does ER, then both
if both sides are doing the same thing now, so both sides are flexing,
yeah, it still should be ER.
It is ER. It is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure.